Just pressing the go live button now. There we go, I'm live. So thank you so much for being here. Really lovely to see you. I'm really looking forward to doing some sketchbooking with you today. My name is Irene. I think most of you probably know me or have been to some of these sessions before. If you're new, welcome. I will tell you a bit more about what I do and how I do it sort of throughout the next half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that. So we're going to spend a bit of time on our sketchbook. I am going to use the Sea White of Brighton sketchbook. I just completed my old one, so this is quite a new one. I just completed my old one, and that sketchbook tour is available to watch back on my channel if you're curious. And this is what we did last week, and I wanted to work in a similar style, so that's what I put in the description. But unfortunately I can't find the pen that I used last week. I have no idea where I put it. It must be here somewhere in my studio. I have so many art materials, so I cannot find that exact pen. But I thought I can actually use a similar method by using this new dip pen that I have not used yet. I have an old one here as well, which I've had for quite a long time. So I have this nice new dip pen with some different tips, and I thought I can use that and then use a bit of water to dilute it here and there. So similar technique, just a different pen from last time. So you can see my sketch is always quite loose and free. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm not focusing on perfectionism. This is all about loosening up and having a bit of fun. And as you can see from the reference picture, I decided to do some faces, to draw some portraits today. So this was one of our live sessions from my creative community from yesterday, from last night. So that was a lot of fun to do. I used this sketchbook for a whole variety of different things. But we're not drawing in color pencil today, we are drawing in pen. There we go, so I'm just making sure that you can see what I'm doing. There we go, putting a clip on and ready to get started. So if you have any questions throughout the session, put them in the chat. I'm very happy to answer them and to talk to you about my practice and about everything. So if you want to find the reference pictures, I'm using Pinterest today, and you can find them all on my Pinterest board. So if you go to Pinterest and then Makings and Musings, you will find my board. I can quickly share it in the chat. Just need to quickly find it. There we go. So there we go. So that's my Pinterest board. I have just put it in the chat. So if you want to find the reference photos, or if you want to find them back later on, this is where I found them. It is worth keeping in mind that Pinterest pictures are all copyright protected, so you cannot use them for anything commercial, but just for a bit of fun practice sketching session, that is absolutely fine. There we go. So I have some ink bottles here. I've not used them for a little while. This one is blue. I have a green. I think I'm going to use this dark green one. They are pretty old. I think I actually stole them from my mum years ago, before I did any like professional art. I think I took these from her when I was a teenager, and I still have some left. Let's see if I can actually open them. I've not used them for a while. So the brand of ink that I'm using is Ecoline, and I really like drawing and painting with these. I should buy some new ones at some point, actually. There we go. So I'm just setting up, making sure you can see my book, and then I'm going to use this pen. It's sort of stuck to it. I think try to stick with this nib, the standard one. So this set comes with some different nibs. This was actually gifted to me. And I've not used them yet. So these are more writing nibs. I think I'll just stick with this one for now, and then I might change to some of the other calligraphy nibs later. I want to get into calligraphy more. I do think this looks very pretty. I really like the look of the pen. So I'm excited about using these. And what else am I going to use? I have some of these like water-filled brushes. I love these. I have a lot of joy with these whenever I use them. They come in different sizes. They're usually quite cheap. I got these, I think most of them in combination with the paint sets. I've not bought them sort of individual. But you fill them with water, you screw them open, fill them with water, and then you can squeeze them a little bit, and then you can see this one is pretty grubby. This one is a bit newer. You squeeze them, a bit of water comes out, and that way you have some water with you to paint with without having to use a cup and like having to do too much preparation. So it's a really lovely way of making that a bit easier. So enough chit chat, let's dive into our first drawing. So if you're joining in, you can use a pen or a pencil, or you can work on your own project. It's completely up to you. And I just dip this in here. So I might have to swap to a different color at some point. This one is pretty empty actually. So, and I'm going to use that color to start sketching. Lean into this for a moment. This is my first drawing of today. And the first drawing never works out well, so bear with me. I'm just trying to figure out these main shapes. Always, always, always work from the large shapes to the small ones. So we're going from the larger main base shapes, so to say, slowly into more and more detail. I think I might need to use a different color. This one is running out. If I add a little bit of water to it, it's okay to dilute my paint a little bit, because this one is almost run out anyway. So. I should give this enough color to do this drawing with. There we go. So I'm starting with the base, like main shape. So I'm focusing on the shape of this face. What is the what is the sort of main shape? Is it angular? Is it round? No details yet, and then from there I'm slowly going to adding a little bit more detail. So if you're new to drawing faces, try and not take it too serious, if that makes sense. So drawing a face can be a little bit intimidating. But we're not looking for the perfect portrait. We're just making a sketch. So as long as you keep that in mind, that instantly takes away a little bit of that pressure that we can feel sometimes when we draw a portrait. And there we go. So I'm not going for hyper realism, I'm just trying to make this sketch sort of resemble this person. And of course, ink is not a super precise medium, this type of ink. In comparison to pencil, where you can sketch and you can remove things and take things out. This ink is a little bit clunky because of the pen. It's also because I'm not used to the pen, but it's a little bit clunky. It's sort of the line, there is a variety. Sometimes it comes out a bit thicker, sometimes a little bit thinner. So I quite like that for my first attempt today. So yeah, I run out of ink quite quickly. So there are some limitations to the material immediately, which I quite enjoy at the same time. So I'm sort of trying to lean into it, just appreciate that this is not going to be a super precise drawing. And also that every mistake that I make is there to stay. There's no do-overs in ink. Everything is there permanently. And that might sound scary, but I actually find that really fun. I really enjoy that. The fact that every line is there to say. I love drawing in ink, I do it a lot. So, there we go. So now the magic trick. I hope you're ready for it, because this is the most fun part. I'm going to grab my water-filled brush. Just quickly testing if it works. Yeah, water is coming out. And I'm going to use that to add a bit of shadows to the drawing. So you suddenly change from drawing into something that seems a bit more like painting. You can soften some edges, adding in a little bit more shadows. See? I just find this remarkable, so much fun to do. And you can do this with any ink pen, as long as the ink in it is water soluble. So last week I used my fountain pen, and my fountain pen has water soluble ink. But yeah, this ink works perfectly fine as well. The blue one that I had first that I decided not to use is actually a watercolor paint, but you can use that with a pen. And yeah, use that to create these shadows as well. So as long as your ink, the ink in your pen is water soluble, it works really great for this. And it's a really fun technique for making some quick sketches and for when you're on the go, because you can create quite a lot of variety without having to bring too many materials. There we go, I quite like that. Doesn't look like her perfectly, but that's okay, it's only a first sketch. I think I might switch up my colors a bit, because this one, maybe if I just shake it a bit, it doesn't really come out properly. Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, pop them in the chat, either about the materials or about me. Feel free to ask away. I have shared some information about myself in previous live sessions, so you might already know a bit more about me. But what can I share? I am a full-time artist. This picture, I'm just choosing random photos that come up. I'm a full-time artist. I work in Cambridge and in London. I love sketchbooking. I also teach a lot of art classes and courses, which is what I'm really busy with at the moment, because I have a new course starting tomorrow. All by limited color palettes, which is a lot of fun. So yeah, I managed to get a bit more paint on here now. Yes, I love teaching people. I really enjoy that, which is funny because my parents were both teachers when I was young, and I always thought, I'll never become a teacher. But then I guess being a high school teacher is quite different from teaching adults and people who are actually interested in what you teach. I think it's very different. So I think this is a very interesting profile. See, oh, a bit of a blob of paint came off my brush. See, that's the unexpected sort of quality that we have with ink. So it's okay, we can use that for some shadows later. It doesn't matter. So I use all sorts of different materials in my art classes as well as in my personal art practice. And I also make large-scale paintings, which I do in my studio in Cambridge. So what I do here at home is mostly my classes and recordings, and then I use quite a lot of my my studio in Cambridge for more of my fine art practice. And I have not always been an artist. I started in a very corporate job in the financial sector. I studied law originally, and then at some point I changed changed my whole life around, and now this is what I do. So just go over to the other page. It's okay if that sort of carries onto that side of the page. Let's add some of their hair in as well to make the portrait feel a bit more complete, otherwise it feels a bit cut off. Actually, if I move my paint there, then I don't block the screen the whole time. What else about me? I used to have a pet rabbit that was really tame and used to run around my living room and bedroom. When I was a teenager, I used to sleep in my bed, and I really love animals. I've sort of thought about getting another rabbit, because they're very good sort of house animals. They're very so you can teach them how to do their business in a box, and they're very sweet and they get to know you really well as well. So they're very they're very lovely animals to have around, but I don't really want the responsibility, so no rabbit for me at the moment. Maybe one day again. I also find it a bit sad if they're just sort of stuck in like a little cage outside. I don't want them. So it's either sort of having it indoors or not at all. So there we go. Second sketch sort of done. Maybe I can soak up this stain a little bit, because it is a bit dark, isn't it? There was just a blob of paint that came out. So there we go. A little bit less intense. And I grew up in the Netherlands, and I moved here to England because my other half is English, so my partner's English, so I moved here after my university, and I haven't left. I'm still here more than 10 years later, and I really love the English countryside. I think it's so beautiful. Really underrated. People always want to travel somewhere else for holiday, but there's so much beauty to see here. So I really love the small little villages and all the sort of magical vibes, and especially now, sort of with Christmas sort of slowly approaching, all these little lights everywhere, and there's just so much very cute sort of cottages and like lots of nice things around. So yeah, I love them, that part of living here. So there we go. Let's zoom out a little bit. Is anyone drawing along today? So let's soften the outside a bit. So maybe we can use this a bit to make almost like a silhouette. See, it's a bit of painting sort of joy. There we go. And I quite like those sort of watercolor flourishes that you get when you combine ink with water. So let's pick another face. So these photos are just random pictures. I did share this, saved to my board. So there we go. Hi Cindy. Oh, and pencil. Yeah, that's lovely. And Carol. Oh, they're not water soluble. Yeah, so some inks are waterproof and some other are water soluble. The nice thing about waterproof inks is that you can draw with them, and once they're dry, you can paint over them with some watercolors, and then that works really well for sort of a line and wash effect. So instead of using your paint itself to create that picture, if you let it dry, then you can add a little bit of extra color with some watercolors or something if you want to. That's a really fun practice as well. There's pros and cons to everything. to all these materials. So this picture would fit in here really nicely, I think. So if I just focus on the shape of the face first, always start with the basics first. This is sort of the cheek. So. You can see I'm sort of slowly loosening up a bit more in my sketch. Where the first one I sort of tried to be really precise, and then slowly it becomes more and more loose. That's usually how it works when I draw. So, and of course lots of hair. So sort of maybe to here. We can't really see outside of the picture, but sort of roughly there. What's my sort of favorite art material to use at the moment? I really like doing these quick sketchbook sessions. That's something that I'm definitely sort of gravitating towards at the moment. And in my classes I always sort of change that in the community. Recently we've been doing a lot of mixed media. I just teach people things that I enjoy doing in the moment. So that's the beauty of being your own boss, right? I can just pick and choose whatever inspires me in that moment. So recently we've been doing lots of really loose pictures and mixed media, but then this week I wanted to do something a bit more sort of focused and a bit more targeted. And we had some color pencil sessions that are a bit more about how to use color pencil and a bit more detailed. So I tend to jump around with that a little bit more. Oh, a ballpoint pen. I love drawing a ballpoint pen. A ballpoint pen is a really underrated medium. I draw in ballpoint a lot. I love it. And it's actually one of the first mediums that I started to use a lot again once art sort of became more of a regular practice for me. So I used to work in the city in London, and the city is a specific area of London where the financial sort of district is and a lot of offices. So I used to go there, and sometimes I used to cycle a lot, but I also sometimes had to take the tube. And if I took the tube into work, I used to take this really small sketchbook with me and then practice people's portraits in pen and ink. So let's add some water to this. Yes, I have a whole little sketchbook that is just for drawing faces. I did this 100 faces challenge. It's called Met 100 Heads. You might want to look it up. Actually, I have a little sketchbook tour of that sketchbook in my on my channel as well. You have to scroll down a bit to find it, I think. But yes, I used to just draw people and use that entire sketchbook just for practicing people's faces. And ballpoint pen is great because you always have one. It's like super easy to find. It's affordable. It's just a really great medium to use and to start out with. It's light, easy to carry around. It's just, I love it. I love drawing in pen. So, there we go. You can see I'm sort of starting to use a bit more water as well. I'm enjoying the watery sort of effect. Less lines, more painterly. I'm going to swap to a different color. So I don't know if this one works the best. Let's see if I've got any color left in this. This is sienna, burnt sienna.
So I'm just making sure you can see my paper. There we go. And let's pick another face. I'm gonna save this to the board. Drawing ideas. There we go. Maybe a man. So open. There we go. I do not know who these people are or even who the photographer is. I just pick random pictures for that sort of come up. And usually when you look, I don't know if you've used Pinterest, but usually when you choose one picture, lots of suggestions come up afterwards for other similar pictures. So that's how I'm going about this. I've not prepared any of these. So I just clean that a little bit. There we go. It's clean enough. So there's not that much of that blue color on there. So this is actually a watercolor paint. This color. This is not an ink. This is a watercolor paint. It says. Oh, big blob of paint. It's alright. So I'm trying to think in shapes, large shapes rather than the detail. So does that sort of feel right? I love drawing people. I always find it so interesting. There's always things to see, things to notice. Oh, help. Good thing that was an eyebrow. Now he's got a slightly bigger eyebrow. I think I might swap to one of these other nips just to try that. So I can just take the nib off and pop in a different one. I'm sort of intrigued by this fine one because I think that one is going to be a little bit more flexible. Yeah, I like them. So as you can see, this pen is a bit more flexible, so I can press down a bit harder for a thicker line, and then a little bit lighter for a softer line. There we go. So let's look at that ear a bit more. One of the reasons I started to do this on YouTube is because I love making YouTube videos, and it's actually a space where I want to grow a bit more, and it's a sort of type of slower social media that I really enjoy. I like the fact that people can still watch videos a few years later, and that there's a bit more space for adding value compared to Instagram, where you post something and it's all gone sort of within a few minutes. So I really enjoyed that, but I don't always have time to do all the video editing and stuff. And because I'm so used to going live and doing live sessions, I thought, you know what? I'm just going to set up a weekly live session. See if people enjoy it. See how it goes. And yeah, that's how this started. It's also a bit more casual. It's okay to have a conversation, answer some questions. Just yeah, a nice place to come together and also show you that you don't need loads of time to fill a sketchbook page.
sometimes one of the sort of excuses or reasons that I hear so often that people don't have time for Sketchbook is that they don't have enough time. But actually, you don't need loads of time to make a quick sketch. Just a little bit of time is enough. I don't think this really looks like this person, but it's okay. I think that eyebrow makes quite a big difference. Maybe I can soak up a bit and use that somewhere else. So I'll make it a bit more into a shadow. But I do really like this burnt umber look. It is a color that I really like. Burnt sienna, that's what I mean. I think it's a color that I really like. Yeah, so that's how I started with doing these live sessions, and I'm still uploading some videos here and there, mostly sketchbook tours more than anything. But it's slowly growing, and a few more people are joining every week, which is really nice. I know some of you have been here a few times before, and I really appreciate that. It's really lovely for me to hear that people are enjoying it and that they feel inspired to do more art. So there we go. I think with a bit of shadows it actually looks a bit more like this person, doesn't it? Some people find it much easier to draw sort of male faces. Some people find it much easier to draw female faces. So there's sort of slight differences. And I know that there's a lot of like fluidity in gender and the way people look. But some people gravitate more towards one or towards the other in their drawings. And I always like drawing sort of older men with big beards. Like big bushy beards. I always find that a lot of fun to draw. But this one, I'm just picking out random pictures. I really like the shape of that hair. So let's add that in as well. So I'll stay with the same color. There we go. So let's focus on that shape first. So we have the top here. So see if that makes sense to you to do those sort of general shapes first before you go into any detail. Excuse me. So I noticed that the more I am doing these drawings, the easier it gets. And that is because I have not made any drawings yet today. I spent a lot of time typing and writing and doing a newsletter and doing all sorts of other things. So this is my first actual sort of artistic thing today. I was able to get it from CT. So I'm not quite sure what you mean, Linda. Was it something that I said earlier? Maybe I've moved. And I also know there is a little bit of a delay between what you see and what I'm doing. Not too much, but the looks of it. It's possible that my rambling on has moved a little bit on since, like in reality, since you've heard what I said. So. think that looks quite nice. No, you shouldn't really use the word nice, but sometimes it's a bit easier. Sometimes it just makes sense, the word nice, doesn't it? So, well, this side is a little bit messy, but I think once I go in with water, that will sort of start me, will sort of make a bit more sense. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, sometimes it just takes a little bit more time to get into the process, and sometimes it's easier. That's just the reality of things, and I think every artist will recognize that some days it's just a bit easier than other. Sometimes it just flows naturally, and on other days it's really hard work. There are certain things, so the more you practice, the more you can sort of snap out of that difficult time. The easier it is to recognize it and know what to do about it. But every artist has these sort of art block days or times when when every drawing comes out horrible. It just happens, doesn't it? But you're here, that's good. I'm really glad to see you. Hopefully this will help you, set you up for the rest of the day in a positive manner, gives you a bit of positivity for the rest of the day. So sometimes you have these blobs of water and it becomes a little bit messy, but I actually quite like that effect. You have to sort of accept the fact that you don't always have control over what happens with the ink in the water, that sometimes it just blurs out and sometimes things just are a bit out of your control, and that's something I like about it as well. So you can always go back in and make things a bit tidier again if you want to, once everything is dry, of course. So should we do last one? Do I save this? There we go. Let's go for picture. I have done some of these photos before. I think sometimes if you click on something, your Pinterest remembers it and then it will come up again in the future. Should I do a different type of portrait? They all look a little bit similar, don't they, these? Lots of famous people. Maybe this one? I can make that picture a little bit wider. So I wasn't really planning to do hands. I'm quite comfortable drawing hands most of the time, but I think I'll just focus on the face. Just here. So, sticking with the same color. Oh, there's lots of birds flying outside here. Here in England we have a lot of these birds, these starling murmurations. And they are really stunning, and we have lots of starlings here. I was saying this in my live session yesterday as well. And I can see them flying around in a group of maybe 50. So they're doing that sort of movement where you sort of see them fly around almost like a cloud. But there's only 50 of them, so it's quite a small group for starlings. Sometimes you can see them in groups of thousands. And I was wondering if these are going to join a larger group at some point before they do their migration, or I don't really know what time I think they migrate to a warmer land. So I find it a lot of fun. Every evening or afternoon I can see them fly around here over the houses. you can sort of start to see what I'm doing here. How this face is coming together. Should I do the hand as well? See what I can make of it. So, we did a whole session on drawing hands a little while ago. And I love drawing hands. I don't mind if they sometimes come out a bit wonky. That's all okay. See, if there's a wet area, you add a little bit of ink to it. It really blurs out, and that's a lot of fun as well. So, I think with that watercolor sort of ink material, more so than with normal watercolor paint, it's quite intense in color. So, there we go. Yeah, beautiful birds outside. I see a few more messages. Hi Vesper, really lovely to meet you. Oh, the ink goes through your paper. My paper is quite thick. Carefully look. The paper does sort of warp a little bit with the water, because this is not really meant for watercolor. Or, but yeah, some paper, not all sketchbook work well with ink. It also depends a bit on the type of pen. Some, especially if you have pens that are on alcohol basis, they always go through a lot. Color fountain pens, oh fantastic! That means that you can use those for this session. Fountain pens, I love drawing on fountain pen. I think it's a lot of fun. So let's see if I can bring this sort of together a bit more. I like seeing if I can make the artwork sort of cohesive, if it makes sense. So, if it makes sense for the areas of colors sort of to be next to each other. So this is one of the most fun things. Let me show you. Oh, hi Nicole, really lovely to see you. Oh, that's really fantastic. Lots of samples. Oh, that's really fun. Very lucky. I just do it with my marker, with my pen. So I'm going to add a bit of water here in between. I think if you're a bit of a stationery lover, there's just so much to explore, isn't there? I'm planning to go to Germany in January to the Creative World, which is a big sort of stationery and art materials fair. It's not really meant for individuals, it's really for businesses and for shops and people who sell stationery, but I'm hoping to find some more collaborations there with brands and to also find out what the newest sort of art materials are. It's always fantastic. It's very tempting to buy lots of new art materials every time, and especially now sort of with all the deals for Black Friday and stuff like that. I'm sort of trying not to buy too much because I have so many materials already. So I'm just letting that drip a bit. I also really like the combination of blue and brown. I think it works together really well. So I'm just removing this for a second and then we can see where we are at. Just adding a little bit more color here. So just a bit of butter. See if I can create some interesting effects on the paper. So, sometimes that's even more fun than doing the actual drawing. See what happens when you have some water on the paper and add some ink to it, and then just see what happens. So, there we go. I thought that was a lot of fun. Some of these pictures definitely have a bit more likeliness than others. That's okay, that's what practice is all about. I also really like sort of exploring the materials and just loosening up and doing something for myself, well, and with all of you, for sort of 45 minutes of my day. So that's just a really fun way of making some time for art. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you, Carol, that's really lovely to hear. I'm going to be here again next week, same time, every Thursday at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock my time, because I know some of you join all the way from the States and from other places. And I'll let you know. Well, we'll have to wait till January, but I'll let you know if I find any good finds. I'm quite lucky, I'm very fortunate. So I quite often have brands sending me things to try out and to sort of to promote. I don't really tend to do much promotion, but I quite often get materials to try out. So that happened with these pens as well. They were a gift from a brand for me to try out. Definitely go and play with that a bit more. So thank you so much for joining in, everyone. Really lovely to see you. If you have any questions, let me know either here on sort of under the video, or I'll keep an eye out. Plus, I get a notification if someone leaves a comment. I should be able to see it, and hopefully I'll see you all soon again. I've not said hi to Sandy yet. Really lovely to see you, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you soon. Bye bye.